Well, a very good evening and welcome to Sacramento as we prepare for the the big classes of the week as part of this Longines FEI World Cup show. 15 years now that Sacramento part of the Longines FEI World Cup series and the start of the North American League. Looking forward to what will be an exciting run through once again to that finale this time next year into April of the finals in Omaha. And of course, this is where the journey starts here in Sacramento for those on the North American League chasing for those spots. And once again, it's going to be an exciting few days coming up. This first day, of course, building up towards the big day later on onto Saturday night for that Longines FEI World Cup qualifier. But the first outing for those World Cup combinations under the roof here as we get set for another wonderful series to start its new chapters into the new season. Here's the lineup for today's $45,000 Grand Prix qualifier class, and we look forward to those taking part. It's presented by Nick Alex Sotheby's International Realty, Natalie Dean of the California chance at SAML, through to a few of the local combinations and a few joining from the East Coast as well. Caitlin Campbell, Belinda Lescaut also with a good record. A few new faces on the lineup here as well. It's Zoe Brown and Chase and Elisa Bruce and Tinkerbell. And those that have come from Canada, Vanessa Mannix, another who's been a regular on the World Cup circuit, down to a few more of the local combinations too in Katie Harris and Macho Blue PS. Mark Kinsella of Ireland adds the lineup. Last year's winner, Connor Swale, Vital Chance de la Roque, also in with a shot here. And to Australia and Matt Williams these days, also based in California as well. Robert Blanchette and Chardonnay, a big Grand Prix winner on the West Coast as well, has a good shot, as does the likes of Brian Canan. And a few of them coming in with second rides later on into the order, likes of Natalie Dean with a second, as is Laura Height and Vanessa Mannix, as it'll take us down towards the closing stages of round one of tonight's big class. Final couple, we'll see a second ride for Carrie Rufer and also a second for the now world number 5, Connor Swale and Theo, taking us to the 38 to come forward in round one. The clear's going on to a jump off to decide this $45,000 class, and we're just moments away from the wonderful festivities getting underway and what will be a big week of jumping here in California.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd ask you to please all rise as we introduce you to the color guard this evening, our Painted Ladies Rodeo performers. Honored to be back in this arena for the Sacramento International Horse Show. Been #1 attraction for the Folsom Pro Rodeo for 30 years. They've opened for Hangtown Motocross for over 10 years. And 2023 will be the 7th selection for the Tournament of Roses Parade. The Painted Ladies bring pride and pageantry to the Stars and Stripes. We're honored to be here once again for the Sacramento International Horse Show, as they believe the recent trials and tribulations of this great nation, a need to uplift others and bring smiles to the faces in the crowd by embracing something bigger than ourselves. The Painted Ladies are well known for performing in their flashy paints and dazzling crowds. They continue to be a crowd favorite for over almost 30 years at the Folsom Pro Rodeo. Especially excited to be selected for the 134th Tournament of Roses Parade. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Painted Ladies Rodeo performers. Ladies and gentlemen, our Painted Ladies rodeo performers, the color guard for the Sacramento International in tonight's $45,000 Grand Prix qualifier presented by Nick Sadek, Sotheby's International Realty, as we ask to turn your attention to the red carpet and welcome from Hip Entertainment and the band Hip Service, this is Kaylee Starr, tonight's national anthem singer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, fantastic way to start, and as they clear the arena, we will be underway with our first of those 38 in tonight's $45,000 Grand Prix qualifier presented by Nick Sadek and Sotheby's International Realty. Thanks to Max von Zimmerman there, our arena announcer, taking us into proceedings of the lead-up to this first big step of the week as part of the Sacramento International. It's part of several weeks of major competition here in California, and it's certainly a big road ahead, of course, culminating, as I say, going to be into later on this week with that Longines FEI World Cup qualifier, the starting off of the season for the North American League, leading towards Omaha next year as well for a big final on American soil. So as the red carpet makes its way out, the first of our riders to make their way up and over the course of Olaf Petersen Jr. of Germany, our course designer here this week in Sacramento. Time allowed of 73 seconds over his indoor track here, and 12 fences in all on the course for today's qualifier in the lead-up. So we'll see how they tackle that, and say several of the riders can bring 2 horses into this competition as well, so 2 spins at that preparation. Then they decide, of course, on that one to come through for that big class. So as the music goes up once again, the first of those making their way in is a rider with 2 shots here tonight as well, and it's Laura Height to start us off, the US rider with the HF Farms Triton Hashtag. And just to say, she'll see a second ride later on into the competition. Laura from here in California, 10-year-old by Cabochon. It's also back to the lines of winning mood on this Swedish-bred ride. Also jump in Europe as well with this combination. It jumped double clears in France and in Spain, in fact in La Coruña in the 4-star back into the summer earlier on this year. Combination as horse and rider have been together since June this year. Former ride of Alex Zetterman of Sweden. So we're in newer hands throughout this year for Laura, and is our trailblazer over the track, designed by Germany's Olaf Petersen Jr. So I say it's going to be 2 rides for the likes of her and for Vanessa Mannix, Connor Swale, Carrie Rufer, for those coming up a little bit later on. But this should get them into the feel of the week in this jump-off class, starting with the GGT fence to start them off at 145. And a steady build-up through. Your fences go up to 150 in this class. 2 and then a curving line. Should be on the 8 strides here. Up to an Oxa. 150 spread on that. Roll back then along the edge of the arena to a 2-stride double in the candy swirl colours. 145, 150 Oxa on the end of the arena at 5. And then we're now into the 150 mark. Water Tray at 7. Just short of that with a 150 spread on that. Back to the Longines vertical at the double there. Oxa on the way out, just comes down for Laura. Triple bar off the corner takes a little bit of pace that they'll need. Not too big a spread at 1.90 m, but enough for indoors coming off that side. And again, that's a delicate fence to the last. It's likely to drop for quite a few. Could be 5 or 6 depending on how they play that last line, but going to be 2 down on a score of 8 at 72-42 for the first of the 2 rides for Laura Height here as part of the lineup for tonight's class. Couple down for her. And now to Misty Cassar of the US. Misty with Malord Cornet. Actually finished very well here last year, was top 3 in that World Cup qualifier. 5th, in fact, in this class in the lead up this time last year as well, with the 12-year-old by Montender 2. Also then had some very good runs at Thermal at the Desert Horse Park. More experienced combination coming together than our first one straight out of the blocks. So you've got to put a real curve on that line to get to the Oxa. On their toes, big jump over the first part. Lots of scope and elevation through there. Really picks up in front. Lands a little short, then just gets a bit of push down that line to make sure they get where they needed to be. It's a little bit tight in the first part of the double, but picks up well. Gives you a good look at how this line plays out to the final fence. They do that fantastically. It is going to be time though. Time allowed of 73 as it stands. 75-36. Really nice jumping combination. We'll see how that plays out. She doesn't seem too worried about that though. Taking some real care amongst that lineup. Just loses her a little bit of time on the way around. And leaves her on the 3 time, but should set them nicely for the week. Assuming our judges stay with the time allowed as it is. They may well do that. Sophia Siegel now and A Girl. Young rider coming in at 20 years of age on a 12-year-old by Adur. Finished well in Ocala back into July. Top 5 of the Grand Prix there. And she finished top 10 into World Cup qualifiers last year as well. Again, they've just got to get exactly as she's done, moving from the first. Very easy to come by that first and just start a steady run down. She's got going straight away, which was good. That's 73 seconds, not leaving much time for ambling around the course. Again, another one that's coping with the heights easily enough. And unfortunately has the fence down at 6, gets the line down there okay on the 7 strides to get to 7, but the fence down on the floor on the way. Come down on the 4 to the 150 vertical at fence 9. Should just put you on the 6. And then you want to get moving to get the 5 down to the last. 71.02, just finishing on the 4, so she's inside the time okay. But it is a fence down on the way as well, so it's going to be 4 for Sophia. And Agel, her singular ride in the class here into the evening. You see there lots of elevation from that pair. Again, could go a couple of holes more in terms of height easily enough, but Natalie Dean now, Chance Sat ML, another one that can cope with big heights. I've jumped in fact onto the US team in Spruce Meadows before now. Natalie also hailing from California. Marigold Sport Horses 14-year-old by Caravara FC. Finished actually second in the World Cup qualifier in Las Vegas last year. 4th here in Sacramento. A really good year again for this combination, having won in Spruce Meadows back a few weeks ago. And last year, a really good result as well in the 5-star Grand Prix in Traverse City. Moves on well down that line again. This is a pair with a bit more experience behind them and coping with the big tracks than these international times. It's a nice little inside run to the West Palm Events Oxa. Again, looks as though she just kept nice and compact there, kept it running at 71.91 and puts herself in with the clear. Very nicely done for Natalie Dean, as a bit more experience for this pair, and they put the 0 score together without too much trouble. So clear round number 1 coming from California's Natalie Dean. First of 2 rides for Natalie in this class. In fact, she'll be back with Maestro a little bit later on. Carry on Boyce Lockhart. CMS Paradise Shore. 9-year-old by Dallas in Doctorow lines for this Irish-bred horse. Pairing been together since last year. Competing this season in Vancouver at Thunderbird. And also in Portland, Oregon there at the shows run by the Split Rock team. So 1 clear on the board then with Natalie Dean, Chance Sat ML in this $45,000 class here tonight. Oh, not quite what they wanted, an early rail there, but again we'll be using this as a good preparation for later on into the week to get used to this arena, used to this step up and back indoors. Again, just a little close coming out of the corner. Just says, wait for me. Gets the package back together for the triple bar. And they get the 6 down to the last. Going to leave them with a little bit of time as well. 74.41 leaves them with a couple for time. It's a total of 10 there for Carry On Boyce Lockhart and CMS Garradai Shaw on the 9-year-old. So with the 1-0 on the scorecard so far, Natalie Dean, Charles Saint-Amel. See if our next will come from Puerto Rico, Mark Watring and Nimbosini RC. Mark with good experience, in fact, veteran of 2 Olympic Games going back to the 80s and Athens in 04 as well. Former Pan Am gold medalist. Previously placed in World Cup qualifiers. And home here in the US. Again, another one that just gives that a tap. We saw that down earlier on. Again, it can come out of the corner a little bit blind to it. Just got to be ready for it. A little bit hesitant into that double. Leaving them on the 4 at the moment. Just a little late the takeoff coming into that vertical, making the score 8 at the moment. So time is putting pressure on them as well. Comes off the corner nicely there to the triple bar. But again, just momentum keeps them rolling just a little bit low over the vertical. Adds a little bit for time as well, 74.48, total of 14 there for Mark Watring and Nimbosini RC. Again, for a few of these combinations coming up, some of the bigger tracks they jumped. This pair been together since March of last year. Yonakas now from Parker, Colorado. Chikorito LS, the 10-year-old by Chapultepec, the Skylark equestrian. Again, one of 2 for him in tonight's class, the rider riding internationally for Denmark. That represented them going back to Europeans and World Equestrian Games back in the early 90s. Been based out in the US since 2013. Just playing a little bit, just Bjorn keeping the balance down that line. A little more exuberant over the oxer there. It's going to be over the time, I'm afraid, but otherwise, certainly not a bad round at all. It's going to be 4 for time, 76.05, 4 for the first of 2 rides for Bjorn Eikast of Denmark. First up there with Chikorito LS. Just losing the shoe, as you can see. Kristen Holwick now making her FEI debut, and first time for her into these classes. Been competed in Europe previously. First US FEI combination together for this pairing. Element, 30-year-old by Whittinger VDL. So one clear on the board so far with Natalie Dean and Charles Sam Hemel. Gets going around the corner there. Very keen not to waste any time. And that gives you an idea of that real curve in that line back to the right. Gets high at the first part. Working their way round so far. It's the 7 strides down to the West Palm Oxer at the Liverpool. Goes a little bit longer in the reins, just takes a look back. That's sometimes the danger, and just gets flat at the fence there to have that down. Couple down for them, but on a debut, the last fence is going to go as well. Inside the time, 72.31. Total of 12 for Kristen Holwick and Elema, but certainly good kick-off start for the week for them. Plenty to build on from there, but leaves them on the 12 as they head out the ring. Caitlin Campbell of the USA now, based on the West Coast now. Spent time on both coasts, and Caitlin with Paulina Delisco, the 13-year-old. The mare owned by the SWS Training and Sales. Finished 5th actually here last year as a combination in that Longines FEI World Cup qualifier. Nice win for them in the classes at Fort Worth. That added stage last year in Dallas for the World Cup Series. In fact, we'll be looking forward to staging the final in a few years' time. Caitlin with good experience too was 6th, in fact, in the Nations Cup Grand Prix at Thunderbird in Vancouver back in early June. As we saw with Natalie Dean, Charles Saint-Amel. This is a pair with a bit more experience in their book. Should cope with this. And could be a danger to Natalie yet this week. Nice flowing line so far. Again, just comes on the inside line. They can get down there on the 6. Little touch on the back going on to that Longines double. Still good though, and again hasn't wasted any time, should be fine for time. Just going to keep coming, gets a little bit of an outside move to get to the last fence to give them a little bit of space to that, and does it very nicely, 70.86. As is, well, not quite predicted, but also maybe expected. Got a good round from Caitlin Campbell and Paulina Delisco will give us the second clear round of the competition so far. So 2 in the bag. Natalie Dean and now that very good round of Caitlin Campbell. Wait and see, we'll join them. A young rider again. Part of the Young Rider Championships this year, just 17 years of age, is Zoe Brown for the Harley Brown Equestrian. 15-year-old by Coleman is Chase into their first Longines FEI World Cup show. Few young riders coming into today's class as well. Good to see them starting out on the path of the Longines FEI World Cup Series. Neatly over the seconds, gets really smooth, just keeps on popping down there easily enough, almost pony-like down over the oxer. Neat little pick up at the first part. Again, just put the nerves to one side. And this is a good curtain raiser for them for the week. The young rider handling this well so far. Neat turn off the corner there. Should put them all right for time as well. Looks like they should just about have the measure of this. They just reached to the last. They were going to get close on time. 72.29, and just unfortunately last fence dropping for Zoe Brown. But a good debut into the FEI classes here for the 17-year-old. So just finishing on the 4, 72.29 for the pairing there. Just see them at the last. Just reaches for it and catches the front bar with them. So still at the 2 clears in this $45,000 Grand Prix qualifier presented by Nick Sadek, Sotheby's International Realty. As you see, just a taste of the many flags that will fly this week. Caroline and Lynn now for the C&M Partnerships. Hercule Van Het Endhaus. 50-year-old by Cabrio van der Heffink, which was arrived from the Philip Arts family. Competed in Tryon throughout the summer. And last year back in 2019 for this Sacramento series of shows, culminating in the Longines FEI World Cup qualifier. So fantastic 15 years of experience. Now from the Dale Harvey and the organising team here. Now Caroline on this Belgian bred and Belgian produced ride. Just a little far off that Oxer to have the back bar down. Comes out of the corner well to the double. And it's a good pace across the Oxer at 5. 150 spread on that. Just putting a little bit of fire to get across the Liverpool. Just one touch then, the second that unfortunately did for them there. On the 8 at the moment for this pairing. Going to put them into time faults as well, but overall we'll see them at a score of 12, 76-18, so 8 for jumping, 4 for time added on to that as well, so a score of 12 for Caroline and Lynn. And Sir Hercule, that Van Het Endhaus. It's high but drops short at the Oxer there. Tinkerbell now, the 12-year-old by Chaco Blue. For Lisa Bros and Constance. Part of the Young Rider Nations Cup final this year as well for the 18-year-old. Also on the Young Rider Championships this year too. In fact, it was individual 5th place and team silver for her zone. Unfortunately, just a little casual at that first, has that first fence down. I say good opportunity here, seeing some of these younger riders coming into play into this. This is another good step up for them. Nicely settling into the round now. Better through the Longines double. Picks up on a short skippy pace down there. Time-wise should be good. Good solid finish for them. Going to fish on the 8. As I say, it's another move up for them, which is good. Lisa Bruce and Tinkerbell finish on the 8 faults as their first appearance in the FEI classes here this week, here in Sacramento. Holly Charlebois and Magic Mike for Elizabeth Killam, the 13-year-old by Zapatero. Newer combination together as well. And coming into their first FEI show together. Let's get a little stronger around that first turn. Taking them into this boxer, and unfortunately not in the spot they want. I think she might be taking another fence, just looked a little bit unsettled from the start. Decides to jump fence 1 again. More settled pop over that, and we'll call an early end to the round there for Holly and Magic Mike. And so plenty of chance to build on for that combination yet. Two clears at this point. Natalie Dean, Charles Samuel and Caitlin Campbell, Paulina Delisco. Teos Fernandez Cuevas now of Chile. Diablo Gorgari, the 9-year-old by Vigo Sisi. Exuberant pop over the first fence. A little bit excitable from the start. Still holding to the clear at the moment. Just a little touch behind with the back legs there. Good turn back inside to save some time. Neatly round there. Just going to run quite close to the time. This could be a little bit touch and go. Should just get there. He pushes off that side. He knows it. 71.61 will get him the clear for Mateus Fernandez Cuevas. And Diablo Goloré will be enough to put them into that jump off there. Coming down that final run. Knew he needed it to save those final few seconds. And gets the job done. So joins Natalie Dean and Caitlin Campbell in the clears so far. And so first of two rides for Vanessa Mannix now. Vanessa with her own Kitting de Hussier, the 12-year-old by winning mood for the rider from Calgary, Alberta. Newer ride into these classes for her, but it's been a combination being together since mid last year. Place at Spruce Meadows and at Thunderbird, more, if you like, local shows to her. And a regular on the West Coast circuit. Trains with Connor Swale, of course, the world number 5. It's a pairing that goes back, having met up in Ireland back in the days of when she was at university over there at Trinity. Just a little low and hesitant to that second fence. Scramble at the third, and now a regathering. Now gets a more settled run through the double, and that's the key, is just getting things back on an even keel to develop for the rest of the week. More confident run. And that's better. Now settling into their stride round this course. Cost them a couple of fences today, but still leaves them room for later on in the week to come in again on the back of a much better finish. Going to be a little bit for time as well, but again, I don't think I'll be too worried about that. More about the confident finish for them, finishing on 10, couple for time in there for Vanessa Mannix and Kitting de Hussier. So we'll see her again a little later on. Unfortunately, I say that early run just a little bit of an undoing, but put it all back together well. And following up with another from Canada, coming down from British Columbia, is Cassidy Keith. 10-year-old Havana, who's been doing so well in the U25 classes, wins in Thunderbird this season. Actually, previous U25 wins there in Vancouver and at Spruce Meadows as well. 10-year-old by Cardenso on the mare today. Neat run over the first again, another one that is a very deliberate getting going after that first fence. Again, you don't want to dawdle between those two. Very easy to lose that valuable second that could make all the difference here, especially based on the time today. Big fly over the Oxer. Plenty of air at that point. Again, lands and gets going. Has been just getting a little bit high at a few fences. Catches up with them at the Longines double. Little reminder coming into the triple. Going to get there for the time, but it's going to be a fence down en route. 70.62 leaves them on the 4 for Cassidy Keith of Canada. And Havana drops them into 9th place so far. 3 clears on the board. Again, just made a little move across, but got very high. Got the height, but of course they lose the width with that. Heavenly Star now, the 10-year-old mare by Van Gogh for Talia de Jong, the 22-year-old, the US rider, who was also going very well in Europe previously in Valkenswaard back last year. Jumped through some 5 stars already in young riders. Also at 22, just coming out of that section now. And again, over the last 12 months, has had more exposure into the big classes. And of course, those 5 stars in Thermal at the end of the year at the Desert Horse Park last year. And then again, that replicated this too. Really neatly over that Oxer. Just maybe losing a little time, we'll see. Gets high and deeper into that Oxer and again drops short onto the back bar. Just on the 4 also can leave you in a solid place, but just coming off that corner. Unfortunately, just weren't going at the right spot, so another roll back to it. More fire this time as they come in. Take them into time as well, but already was taking a look from a good few strides out to slip to the slide. I'm afraid it is going to be elimination for them, for Talia de Jong and Heavenly Star, I'm afraid. Got high there. Sometimes that just breaks the confidence a little bit as well, but better through the candy stripe double. Katie Harris now of the US, and another of the California locals with Macho Blue PS. 9-year-old gelding by Messenger back to the line of Chaco Blue. Actually finished 7th previously in the Longines FEI World Cup qualifier here. That was back in 2019. To the 2-star International FEI shows in Paso Robles in the last few weeks for Katie, starting this 9-year-old into these Longines FEI World Cup shows. She's just a little unbalanced just at that point. Again, 9-year-old coming at his first series of shows at this level and back indoors as well. Katie looking to build the confidence for the pair. A little higher through the Longines double, but does well to get the balance back. Gets a decent shot at the last, so it's going to be time to it as well. Score of 16, as I say, first steps into this level for this pairing together. 16 at 76.81 for Katie Harris and Macho Blue PS. And Mark Kinsella now. Dorendo, the 40-year-old by Lebes VDL in Dorado. The Dutch-bred 14-year-old. She'll also be the ride of Caitlin Campbell, of course. Competed up in Canada for the Irishman. It's 2 stages of Major League jumping over the last few weeks with Angel Stone and Ottawa and at Spruce Meadows into their own series of internationals. Just a reminder, the 3 clears at the moment: Natalie Dean, Caitlin Campbell and Mateus Fernandez Cuevas. Just again takes a little forward run, clips away the front bar of the Oxer. Nicely gets out to shape the line. The final 3 fences and probably their best part of the course. 69 at 74. Just finished on the 4 for Mark Kinsella's time with Dorendo for the Irishman. Should put him in some money for today's class regardless, but 3 with the 0 score at the moment. And first of 2 rides for Carrie Rufer now of the USA, and Stern de Folletti for the Californian with the Morningstar Sport Horses 11-year-old by Toulon. Actually won at the show here last year in the international classes. Finished well in Paso Robles in the last few weeks as well, in the 6th in the Grand Prix there. 2nd in the Grand Prix at Thunderbird. Actually won up at Thunderbird back into August as well. Recently married Carrie, first of 2 rides for her. Comes up a little later on with Vertige as well. Super string of horses that she's got, having competed across both coasts. Confidently down that line. Well through the double, and again keen not to lose time. Good so far. It's a good shot there at the triple bar. Good confident run down here so far. Just the one from home. Time-wise, just going to run a little close. Should just be enough. Yes, it is 72.40. So puts a clear on the board for Carrie Reef with the first of 2 shots in this class. Stern de Folletti will be returning certainly for that jump off. And very confidently round for Carey. Working with Cameron Hanley, the Irish rider. He's just off of the kiss and cry there. Watching Cameron, of course, hugely successful Irish rider and producer of horses. Really nicely done. So Carey looking to see if she can add to her list of wins. 4th jump off so far. So Carey Rufer alongside that group already mentioned with Mateus, Caitlin and Natalie Dean. Oh, just a moment's breather before our next coming in. It'll be the first of 2 rides for Connor Swale, in fact. Coming up as 21st in the order and due to be 38th. Some good experience combinations coming up in our next few. Will be a second ride later on for Natalie Dean as well. Second one for Laura Height. I think 8 riders in this class with 2 horses to come with this. Carey Rufer with a second ride. Connor Swale, same for him, and for Vanessa Mannix. Lisa Burrows as well for the young rider coming up into the final few too, which has been good to see some young riders getting a very good opportunity here as well. And it is to Swale now, first of 2 for the world number 5. One here last year. It's the Manon Farms Vital Chance de la Roque, 13-year-old by de Montesimi. Also topped the league for the North American League of Shows. Absolutely tremendous form last year. 3, maybe 4 World Cup wins. And now for a chance for him again as he's headed out to the West Coast for the Irishman. Based over in Florida. But he spends a lot of time on the West Coast. The shows here and up in Canada. Prolific winning combination, this pair together. And again, he's into his best string he's probably ever had right now. I've seen him up into the world's top 10. Gets a little bit higher over that one too. Oh, and having a look there, and Connor has to do a bit of work through the double. Not complete smooth sailing so far. But Connor, very good, very adaptable. Looks strong over there. Connor just says, come back to me. And he is on the 4, unfortunately. So he's going to be back later on with Theo. Well, it gives them a stretch in the early part of the week. 72.09 will still potentially put them in some money there, but going to be a little bit disappointment there for Connor Swale. Just on the 4 for them. Not quite as smooth as they would have liked early on in the track, but again, a good pipe opener for them for the week. And we'll put them a little further down. Seem to have a list of time faults there, not quite sure why, but We will move on to Australia and Matt Williams, although he hasn't come quite that far. He's based in California now, riding the HT horses Dandy, the three-time Olympian, on the 11-year-old by Douglas, on the lines of Heartbreaker. And a few more combinations coming to base on the West Coast now, an increased set of shows as the World Cup circuit takes place, but also the step up and developments at Desert Horse Park as well, making it more appealing, and a whole list of other shows into California and all up the West Coast through to Oregon as well. The 4 at the moment, but of course 6th place is the best you can do on 4 faults at this point. Mark Kinsella in that point on 69.74 and on the 1 down. Pairing that finished 3rd in the Grand Prix and Pastor Robles a few weeks ago. Just has to push them to get going, get the vertical. They're going to be, unfortunately, behind the curve. I was going to say the curve in terms of time, but unfortunately not having the shot to the last they wanted either. You think they're just going to... He's basically gone through the final fence. Little bit of a jump over it. And I think actually by the sounds of it, no, they've stopped the clock and they're going to rebuild. I think there's some discussion of whether he jumped it or didn't jump it. That will be down for the judges to have decided. It sounded like they've decided he was a stop. Having a little discussion with the judges, but it's going to come down to the last. And we'll pick up over it and have that down as well. So it's going to be 23 in all, 83.11 as a time for Australia, Matt Williams and Dandy this time. Kendall Bourgeois now, the US rider with that camera brands Flint and M, the 12-year-old by Clinton. On the lines of Chin Chin for this Dutch-bred ride. A couple of seasons behind this pair so far. Finished in the top 10 of the Grand Prix in Vancouver back in August at Thunderbird Show Park. Good start, maybe just a little steady for them. We'll see, chance to make it up around the course yet. Yeah, looks as though it should be okay for time. Sits up just steady at this vertical. And well done. Good round put together for Kendall and Flint and M. So we'll add the clears so far. Takes us up to 5 of those now. Kendall Bourgeois there producing the clear. And we'll be back on the Dutch bred 12-year-old into that jump off a little later on. Well through this class now. That's our 23rd of 38 in all. And smile across the face as the next one coming in is Alexis Taylor. Always good to see a good round in front of you. Alexis Taylor with the Aileron LLC's La Capital, the 10-year-old by Lacino. Again, a less experienced combination into these international FEI World Cup shows. It's a steady but clean shot down that first curving line from 2 to 3. Nice shot down there to 5. Getting out to the boards to give them space. And then just gets a little bit of a quicker movement around the turn again so as not to lose time, but maybe just a little steady around here. Still clean though, so just catches up with them as they run out of space to the vertical. Going to be time faults on the board as well. Just flattens as they reach a little at the last, but overall not a bad round, finishing on a score of 13.77.22 for Alexis. And now Jason McArdle with Mr. Incredible, the 10-year-old by Charlotte Demuse. She here last year as well as part of the Longines FEI World Cup qualifier. The 10-year-old owned by Troy Glaus. Little toe touch takes them to the 4. 4 still, as I say, in the money at the moment. A little casual to the vertical. Good jump over the Liverpool oxer. Really showing themselves well through that Longines double and that line. Going to come home with a little bit of time to add as well. Going to be 12 for jumping, 1 for time, 73.79 finishes on 13 in all for Jason McArdle and Mr. Incredible. Alexis Sokolov now, who also trains with Connor Swale. Hot horses for Sol Senor, the 11-year-old mare by Doremi. Finished one in the 5 stars in Traverse City and Ottawa this season as well. Again, has been getting more experience through those big shows. Steps over 5 well. Just steadies down here. Just again puts a little bit of pace down there, opens up the stride. Looking good. May just be a little close for time. She's going to have to run at the last, but she's trying. Definitely trying, but it's going to be 1 for time, 73.72. Just not quite enough, but a good solid round for Alexis. Finishing on just that 1 time fault with Sol de Seigneur. Just leaves her on the 1 time fault to put her into 6th place at the moment. Brian Canan now, and Vittorio riding down under the US flag. Hailing originally from Ireland, been based out here for quite some time. Married to Jules, the 11-year-old gelding by Van Helsing. Vittorio for Brian, and the Glen Bay Farm. Finished 4th at the Grand Prix in Thunderbird just a few weeks ago, back into September outside on the grass there. Five clears at the moment with Kendall Bourgeois, Carrie Rufer, Mateus Cuevas, Caitlin Campbell and Natalie Dean. Brian, who's ridden on teams in Nations Cup for Ireland before now as well, based over in Florida. A little bit of encouragement at the water tray. Again, pairing that have jumped right through to 5-star level, but just pulling away the top of the vertical. Gets a push off the corner. Going to pick up a little bit for time as well. And going to see them with a final score of 674.63. 6 there for Brian Canan, and Vittorio tops them into 12th place so far. Just leaves us around 10 left to go in this $45,000 Grand Prix qualifier. Nick Sadek Sotheby's International Realty are presenting sponsors. And now another Californian in the frame is Matt Archer. The Reese Farms, Luigi van der Bishop, the 11-year-old by Bemeka de Moos, the gelding for Matt. That's Belgian bred, finished well in Thermal previously as well at the Desert Horse Park. And of course, this time Last year it was Lindsay Archer, joint winner with Robert Blanchett for the big class here. Of course, that in preparation for that World Cup qualifier that was eventually won by Conor Swale of Ireland. Robert Blanchett, in fact, to come up in a couple of riders' time. Moves up nicely down to the water tray, but just extends a little too much to clip that win with them. Again, just pace takes them with the Longines vertical coming down as well. So on the 8 at the moment. Should get inside the time, but it is going to be a couple on the floor. 8 in 70.77 for US rider Matt Archer and Luigi van de Bisschop. Simone Berg now, and the 15-year-old Cooper for the Berg Equestrian. She won the 2-star Grand Prix and here in California just a few weeks ago in Pluma, and that was, in fact, take that back a year to September 21. All the gelding along the lines of Voltaire. A little less experienced into these World Cup qualifiers. Just on the 4 time, looking good. Fires up to the last, clears it well. 69.81, finishing on the 4 there for Simone Berg and the 15-year-old Cooper. Well experienced pairing. Go into 9th place at the moment. Mark Kinsella, the fastest of the 4 vaulters, in 8th place at the moment. Simone going behind that in 9th. Sophia Siegel in 10th at this stage, also on the 4. Key part, though, is the 5 clears at this point with Natalie Dean, Caitlin Campbell, Matias Fernandez Cuevas, Carrie Rufer and Kendall Bourgeois at the moment. Robert Blanchett, as I mentioned, previous winner here last season. And from Salinas here in California, the 11-year-old Chardonnay by Comme Il Faut. Riding under the Irish flag for RTS LLC. Won in Thunderbird a few weeks ago. Would be another one of the strong contenders here this week in Sacramento. Definitely doesn't lose anything on time down that first run of fences. This gets a little close in there, a little tap behind, but they do a good bit of work to make sure they stay clean. Coming home easily enough. I said he could be a hot... Oh, no! It looked like they were home and hosed. Finishing on the 4. Just the final fence catches them out. Looked like they'd got there, but just going to finish on the 4 for Robert Blanchette this time. And Chardonnay gets a mint or whatever as a reward, but just dropped short at the last. So I say, a few of those left to come with second rise yet into this class. Natalie Dean with another shot, as has Laura Height, who goes now. Of course, was our first rider of the class. And it is Calypso Vandizuteva, 14-year-old by Ortangelo for the HF Farms. Competed over in Europe, as I mentioned a bit earlier. In fact, this last outing for this pair was in Brussels a few weeks ago. Finished third in the World Cup qualifier in Las Vegas last year. Laura with the advantage now of already a trip round, but a different ride this time because it was Triton Hashtag to start her off. Just holding off down that line to the Liverpool. A little bit steady so far. Still clear. May just start to play into the dangers of the clock though. Should just about be all right. It's going to be on the line though. It's not going to be enough. It's a nice round, but a little bit deliberate in places. Nicely done. 73-7-1 leaves them on the one-time penalty for Laura Height this time. And Calypso. Still puts them in the money into 6th place at the moment. Got some nice shapes over the fences. So Laura Height finishing on the 1. Caitlin Campbell to come up. Natalie Dean, Bjorn Eikast, Lisa Bros. Vanessa Mannix was second ride. Same for Carrie Reefer and for Connor Swale yet. So Natalie Dean already with that first clear in with Chance Saint-Emel. Now back with Maestro Vika van den Ark. Another one with great experience for her, as she has done in her move up into the top ranks. 10-year-old by Laudanas for the Marigold Sport Horses. Natalie starting her career here in California, has now made major moves around the globe. Winters in Florida, where she's been very successful too. So it's going to be an early fence for her, but she's definitely going to be back into the jump off, as we know, with Chance a little later. Hops nicely through the candy stripe double. Fires off the corner here. 4 faults still potentially to get her in money, and she's pretty quick so far. She's showing them how to speed around this course easily enough. 73 is not going to be a problem at all for them. They're going to be around in 67.89, so finishing on just the one down for Natalie. Goes into 9th place now for Natalie Dean, and that will be the fastest of the 4 faulters. And Bjorn Eikast now with the second ride for the Danish rider Top Castino, enrolled by Con Cargo for the BBB show jumpers. As mentioned before, a rider with World Championship and European Championship experience back in his career. Pretty economical route so far. Gets high. Certainly not sure to jump, plenty of air over the Liverpool. Unfortunately gets high there and drops short at the Longines Oxer. Coming here with some time faults as well. He's going to lead them on a score of 9, 77.44. 9 there for Bjorn Eikast and Top Castino for the rider from Denmark. As I say, long time since 2013, been based here in the US. US rider Caitlin Campbell back with a second ride now, the 13-year-old Emir by Dubai on the lines of Cardento. Takes us into our final 5 in the first round. So very good run here last year to finish in 5th place in the qualifier itself. Just trying to come quietly, but unfortunately cost them a little bit more revved up down to the Oxa there. Well, unfortunately, again, just not in the spot they want at the next vertical, so on the 8 at the moment. Going to be time to add as well. Going to leave them on 11 in all, 75 at 92, 11 for Caitlin Campbell and Amia this time. Lisa Bros now back with her second ride for the young rider, 18 years of age. Young rider silver this year, individual 5th as we mentioned a little earlier too. Young rider Nations Cup in September of this year as well. Cadenta van Meerhof this time, the 12-year-old by Cardento, while the mare owned by Lisa and Constance. Good pace so far. Now for the young rider to really potentially stamp her credentials on this week here in Sacramento. Good for time. Just one fence to go for them. Oh, just a toe on the last. Leaves them at 68.15. Stretching out to the finish. Just finishes on the 4 for Elisa Bros and Cardenta. Drops them into 10th place, but some very good rounds to build on for the future. Still puts her in the prize money. Little steady and skip through there. And Vanessa Mannix now of Canada. Valentino Delte, the 13-year-old by Castronome de Russe, for the second ride for Vanessa. So he's very good runs up in Canada. Back on closer to home ground, of course she's from Calgary. Spruce Meadows, her local major event. Sees us with the 5 clears so far in tonight's qualifier. Stretches out, a little tap on the back bar. We'll see where they fit time-wise, but we're going to fairly tight turn up into that Longines double. Should be in about the ballpark. One fence from home and looking good for Vanessa on her second spin here. Oh, plays it close at the last. Again, another one just lengthens out of the final fence, but leaves it this time, 71-11. So Vanessa Mannix back for the jump off for the Canadian with Valentina Delta. For 1 or 2, it hasn't quite worked out, but for her, just a light enough touch to leave the pole in position. And so second ride and final American ride of the class going to Carrie Rufer, already through with her earlier trip around with Stende de Folletti, Vertige, the 30-year-old by Caprice Poimago. Vertige de Galazax for the Morningstar Sport Horses of California. Carrie with a chance to take 2 into that jump off. Eyes fixed on that double coming out of the corner. Really fires up down to the water tray. Again, balanced. The rhythm back again. Oh, and just gets a fraction close to that Longines vertical out of the corner. So she'll still take 1 into the jump off. Going to be a little bit close to the time as well. Might just have the 1 time fault. Yes, they do. 4 jumping 5 times, 73.60. But still a very nice round behind them as well. And 1 to come back for Carrie yet. So Carrie Rufer just on the 5 this time with Vertige. So she'll have a quick turnaround. Be back with Stende de Folletti into that jump off. Just 1 more to come out of the shadows to complete the first round. And that'll be for Ireland. It'll be the second ride for Connor Swale. And just being led in there. Swale with his own and Team Phillip Arts Theo. 10-year-old by Christian 25 for the gelding for Connor Swale, who's been getting this horse some more experience last year. Was with him through this year and last year. Been with him for a couple of seasons now. Little thumbs up to the crowd. A little bit of support there for the world number 5. Didn't quite work out with his first horse, but second spin here for the defending champion of that Longines FEI World Cup qualifier here in Sacramento. Ooh, what a heart-stopping bounce. Pace is good. Theo been moved more into the 5 stars this year. A little more settled round than his first was with Vital Chance. Connor, if he goes last here, will still make them all sweat to the finish. Time shouldn't be a problem. And he leaves the last as well, so he will be last to go with a shot at this class. And so will be back for Connor Swale. Misses out with his first, certainly does not miss out with his second ride with Theo. And so completes round one of this $45,000 class presented by Nick Sadek, Sotheby's International Realty. And we'll now see them join the lineup to take us to 7 going into the jump-off overall. Natalie Dean, Caitlin Campbell, Mateus Cuevas, Carrie Rufer, Kendall Bourgeois, Vanessa Mannix, and finally Connor Swale in there as well. There is the names up there we'll see back through. 6 of them at that point. Natalie Dean to lead us off with Chance, Caitlin Campbell, Palinda Lescaut, Mateus, and Diablo Golier. Carrie Rufer, Stern de Folletti, Kendall Bourgeois, and then finally down to Connor Swale. In the money still, Laura Height and Alexis Sokolov on the 1 time for Mr. Gassara, top 10 finish with the 3 time for her there as well. Natalie Dean and Eliza Bros will complete the top 10. We'll take a look back at some of the highlights of round 1 as we see the rest of the order of those coming forward. This is a full Falters just on the edge of that money as well. Before we set up for the jump off for today's class. Well, here the combinations that go forward qualify for the jump off. In fact, Natalie Dean electing not to jump off, with Chance ML keeping her eye on that World Cup qualifier to come later on in the week, so keeping the powder dry at the moment. But the rest of them taking a spin: Caitlin Campbell, Mateus Fernandez Cuevas, Carrie Rufer, Kendall Bourgeois, Vanessa Mannix, and Connor Swale, as far as we are aware. And they're down the rest of the order as we saw a little earlier on, the four falters. Those just outside the money there, but again with a good chance maybe later on into the week. We'll see, of course, later on to the weekend for that Longines FEI World Cup qualifier here from Sacramento. So building into that jump off over the shortened course set by Olaf Peterson Jr., our course designer here this week, and see them starting over fence 2, in fact, this time. 2, 7, 8A and B, 11, 12, new fences 14 and 15 takes them across the centre to a new fence, a vertical at fence 14, and to what was fence 4, the candy stripes in reverse, just the vertical this time, coming as the last part going in the opposite direction. So those are the combinations going into the jump. As you can see, Connor Swale will go last with Theo for the world number 5. That should leave a few quaking in their boots. But good luck to them all. We're off in just a moment to chase down the $45,000 prize fund in this class, presented by Nick Sadek, Sotheby's International Realty here in Sacramento. Darkness now well and truly engulfed the outside of the arena, the lights taking over indoors here in California. The start of the North American League, leading up to the finals, of course, for the Longines FEI World Cup in Omaha in April of next year. But in the meantime, we have this class to decide. As I say, Natalie Dean electing not to jump off. So we'll go straight into Caitlin Campbell in the SWS Training and Sales, Paulina de Lesco. 2, 7, 8A and B, 11, 12, 14 going across the centre, and 15 a turn back towards that entrance gate to the candy striped fence as the last. So Caitlin Campbell to be the standard setter of this jump off. Very good combination that have every chance of lighting this class up from the front. Of course, going to a different fence this time, to the Liverpool at fence 7, as opposed to the early curve they had between 2 and 3. Back to the Longines double, gets the elbows going. She knew she was going to struggle to get across that, and gets an inside turn back to the Seahorses to the vertical at 11. It's 12, but that's not where they finished this time. And again, I think that fence is going to play a part. It's so lightly dropped in the previous round. Back across to new fence 14, which is 6 in the opposite direction. And this fence jumped to the opposite direction as well. They can get a good power run down to the final fence, but leaves them on the 8 at 40.74 for the first. The jump off Caitlin Campbell and Paulina de Lesco. So door still open for the rest, but very tough always going first. Yeah, knew she'd got to do some work through that Longines double. And after that, it was just a little harder to keep them on track. Mateus Fernandez Cuevas now of Chile. Diablo Golari, the 9-year-old by Vigo Sisi. Inexperienced pairing at FEI this year, but based on their first round, it's not amounting for a lot. They've gone clear, gone well. Now a shot at tonight's class. Finished well in Grand Prix in Thermal last year at the Desert Horse Park there. Good pace around the corner. Good shot into the Longines double. Just again, got to be careful it doesn't carry you too far. I think they're all probably going to go that inside shot. One or two thinking that's the last fence. We're not done yet. One more left to go, and this is pretty good. Sheer grand pace to the final fence at the moment. Takes a long run at it and just gets a little close for comfort, but just a couple of taps at the finish that leaves it there. 39.78. Mateus playing it very close indeed, and that could be enough. We'll see. So 39.78 to beat. And back to Carrie Rufer now. Stern de Folletti. So she knows the time to beat now. 39.78 for the Californian. Mateus setting a good pace, some good turns in there. But maybe just a little chance to squeeze a little bit more out of them. Good running shot from the first two fences. Again, don't want to drift too far there. She was maybe a little more efficient at that turn. Gets running now. Just could take a little off to be able to hurdle this. 39.78 time to beat. This could be good. Has to take a shot at the last, which she does. 38.52 into the lead she goes. Carrie Rufer now leads the way. Newly married, this might be a very good way to start off what could be a very good honeymoon period for her. Into the lead, 38 on the scorecard now. Carrie Rufer leads at 38.52. Stern de Folletti still got some big ones coming out of there with Connor Swale. Going to be last to go here, but a really confident run from Carrie. Kendall Bourgeois now and Flinton M. Not a lot left on there by Carrie. Super turn after that Longines double. Maybe just grabbing that extra split seconds. Just over a second between Carrie and Mateus, between first and second spot so far. Nice forward run. Takes off the pace coming in there. Make sure they're not getting too quick and going too far. This is where Carrie really started to fire up the engine. She does the same. Just really taking care. The Royal Electric fence. Not going to be faster. It's going to still be a very good round indeed. Nicely done. Going to see her over 40. 40.58. And should put her into third place there for Kendall Bourgeois and Flinton M. So top three. Carrie Rufer still leading with two to come. So Vanessa Mannix now of Canada came into those final few, so blood still up. Valentino Delte. Canadian on the 13-year-old. Can she depose the American at the top at the moment? Canada and Ireland left. Good start. Oh, just gets too tight into the double, I'm afraid. So Carrie Rufer will stay in front, but with the world number 5 still to come at her. Not quite working out this time, but really good first round. Just a little bit of pace causing a couple of fences to drop. And they'll be back with other good rounds. Yet goes on 41.68. 8 there for Vanessa Mannix and Valentina Delte. So 1 left to come. Carrie Rufer, former winner of classes here in Sacramento, in front still with Connor Swale to come, the world number 5 with the Phillip Arts Theo. There you see the top few at the moment. 39.78 in second. Kendall Bourgeois in third. Final one to walk in is the man who won the World Cup qualifier here last year. Connor Swale and Theo. No matter who you are in the world, if Connor is coming in last, you're still going to be sweating until he's finished. Tip of the hat. Drop of silence. And here we go. Neat start. Quick. Very tidy so far. That was well executed. This might well be up. Oh, but that's down. So Carrie Rufer is going to win it. 4 onto the last. Time-wise, little bit back from that. Takes a big stretch over the final fence. Not to be for Connor Swale this time. We'll go into fourth place on 40.35. So Connor Swale into fourth place with Theo. But it's a win tonight for Carrie Rufer. Very definitely a honeymoon period for her, with the Morningstar Sport Horses Stern de Folletti will claim tonight's $45,000 class presented by Nick Sadek, Sotheby's International Realty. Congratulations to her. And, well, recently married, straight here to Sacramento, and certainly enjoying the honeymoon period. There we go. It is a big hurdle over the last for Swale. Watch out for him come the World Cup qualifier on the latter part of the week into the weekend. Carrie Rufer, those you winners. Stern de Folletti. Mateus Fernandez Cuevas is in second. Diablo Collery is third to Kendall Bourgeois and Flint and Ebb. Connor Swale will take fourth place. Kayla Campbell fifth. Vanessa Mannix sixth in the jump off for tonight's class. And wrapping up the rest, I say withdrawing from the jump off there, Natalie Dean, Chance Satomel, and the rest from the first round into the money for our top 12 as our real pipe motor of the big classes of the week here in Sacramento. Join us over the weekend for that Longines FEI World Cup qualifier. We'll see those names back. Some super young riders coming through as well, getting some great experience here in California as well. And it could all be a change around yet come the weekend. We will see. But it has been a very good start for Carrie Rufer, who will be our winner of this opening big night class here in Sacramento. And well done to her. We look forward to the Longines FEI World Cup qualifier. But for now, the lady of the moment, Carrie Rufer, Stern de Folletti for the USA.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back your top here this evening, $45,000 Grand Prix qualifying event presented by Nick Sadak, Sotheby's International Realty. Ladies and gentlemen, as our riders line up here for the award presentation, we'd like to introduce you to our presentation party. The CEO of Nick Sadak, Sotheby's International Realty, Nick Sadak, and Dina Sadak joining him on the red carpet. Also, Gerald Koo, our president of the ground jury, and Dale Harvey, our CEO for West Palm Event Management. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we'd ask you to please all rise, and gentlemen, remove your, as we honor tonight's champion and American, Carrie Rufer, with the playing of the American National Anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have our presentation party meet our champion, Carrie Roofer and Stern De Folletti, right here from South California. Thanking, of course, the presenting sponsors, Nick Sadak, Sotheby's International Realty, as Nick and Dina join us at the award presentation party. And now joining us for the presentation of awards, of course, West Management, Mr. Dale, and the president of the ground jury, Mr. Gerald Koo. Your reserve champion, Matias Fernandez Cuevas from Chile, aboard Diablo Golari. A third place finish for Kendall Bourgeois, the American, aboard Flinton M. It's Connor Swale for Theo, taking home fourth for Ireland. A fifth place finish for Caitlin Campbell, the American, aboard Paulina de Lasco. And a sixth place finish for the Canadian Vanessa Mannix and Valentino Deolte. And of course, one more photograph here with our West Palms event manager and CEO, I should say, Mr. Dale Hart, president of our ground jury, Mr. Gerald Koo, with today's winner, Carrie Roofer, Stern De Folletti. As our presentation party makes their way back to the red carpet, we have more requests from our champion, as she has done many times here in Sacramento. Ladies will ask our winner to lead the way in the victory ride and cushions to Carrie Roofer and Stern De Folletti. Coming down the side of the arena here, congratulations to all of our top six placers this evening in the $45,000 Grand Prix qualifying event, presenting Sadak and Sotheby's International Realty. And as they come by the red carpet, it's Carrie Roofer, your champion. Matias Fernandez Cuevas, Kendall Bourgeois, Connor Swale, Caitlin, and Vanessa Mannix. But all by herself, your champion, Stern De Folletti and Carrie Roofer. Well, thank all of you for joining us this evening. Make sure you come back Saturday. The jump's just a little bit bigger. Of course, tomorrow night, the FEI speed competition taking place here. It'll be fast, one of the fastest classes in North America. Come on back and join us. And then jumping for the winner's share of $228,000 on Saturday night for the World Cup qualifying event, FEI Jumping World Cup Sacramento on Saturday.